Before we begin the story, let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story. Emma Thompson was spinning the cleaning cloth like it was a cheerleader's pom-pom. Her headphones were playing early 2000s pop, and she was completely caught up in the rhythm, swaying her hips, stomping her feet, striking dramatic poses with the mop like she was starring in a music video. Her hair was messily tied up. She wore a loose t-shirt and the standard cleaning crew sweatpants. But she moved with the confidence of someone performing in front of an imaginary crowd, cheering for more. In the next room behind a mirrored wall that looked like a regular mirror, Liam Carter, the company's CEO, was watching. Standing with his tie perfectly in place and a folder of reports open on the desk, Liam was silent. The meeting with the directors was starting in 5 minutes, but he couldn't take his eyes off the unusual scene happening just a few feet away. A cleaning staff member dancing like the lead performer in a secret corporate concert. "Mr. Carter," his assistant called out, unsure whether to interrupt. "The board is already online for the video call." "1 minute," Liam replied, not taking his eyes off the mirror. Emma was now doing synchronized steps with the mop like she'd practiced it for years. Then suddenly she slipped on the bucket, lost her balance, and bumped her shoulder against the mirror, blurting out, "Oh no, shoot." Liam held back a laugh. Inside, Emma took out her earbuds, tried to fix her messy hair, and looked around, still unaware that she had just been the star of an unintentional corporate show. "Please tell me no one saw that. If anyone did, I'm changing my name and leaving the country," she muttered. On the other side of the glass, Liam closed his folder and whispered to himself, "Who is this crazy girl?" In Emma's mind, the soundtrack of her Beyoncé moment still echoed, but now back on solid ground, literally, she was rushing through the Willems' hallways with a tray in her hands, carrying 4 cups of coffee and a few lactose-free cookies. Her destination, the 35th floor, the executive meeting room, the danger zone. Emma had never liked going up there. It was too quiet. It smelled like expensive leather, fancy perfume, and decisions way above her pay grade. But the official coffee lady had the flu, and guess who got volunteered by the supervisor? Exactly the same girl who'd been dancing with a mop just minutes ago. "Okay, Emma, just deliver the coffee and walk out. Simple, no drama," she whispered to herself in the elevator. The door opened with that ding that sounded like the end of her reputation. At the other end of the hallway, the meeting room door was slightly open. Serious voices, words like strategic alignment and operating margin. Important people. She took a deep breath, adjusted the tray, and stepped on the edge of the carpet. The world slowed down. Her left foot got caught. Her right foot tried to fix it, but the tray decided to follow gravity instead. In slow motion, just like in the movies, the 4 cups of coffee flew in a perfect arc, and the target, none other than Liam Carter, the CEO. The coffee hit his chest with surgical precision. The 4 cups shattered on the floor. The cookies shot out like little missiles in all directions, and the silence that followed could be measured in decibels of pure embarrassment. Emma froze. "Oh my God," she whispered, her hands still in the air holding nothing. Liam looked down. His imported Italian white shirt was now stained brown. He looked up at her. She was so pale it looked like she might disappear. "Is it sweet?" he asked calmly, like he was commenting on the weather. "Excuse me, the coffee. Is it sweet, I think?" "Yes. I mean, it was." She stammered, eyes wide, her soul halfway to purgatory. Liam took a deep breath, unbuttoned his jacket, and to the surprise of the entire executive nation present, said with a half-smile, "Good. I hate bitter coffee." Some directors swallowed their laughter. Others couldn't hold it in. Emma just wanted to vanish into the carpet. "I am so sorry, sir. I swear I didn't mean to. I tripped on the... I'll clean it. I'll pay for it." "I'll disappear," she rambled, crouching down to pick up the pieces with shaky hands. "Miss, it's all right," Liam said, crouching down beside her, still calm. "But please don't try to pay for this shirt. It costs more than your monthly salary, maybe several months." "Great. So now I owe you a kidney," she replied, before realizing she said it out loud. Liam laughed, a real laugh, almost boyish. The board members exchanged discreet glances. No one had ever seen Liam Carter laugh like that. In fact, not even a slight smile. "Go to the front desk and ask for a tissue," he said, "and don't worry about it. These things happen. These things happen." She had just baptized the CEO with hot coffee, and he said, "These things happen." On what planet was that normal? Emma gathered the broken pieces and left the room like she was fleeing a robbery. But just before she closed the door, she still heard one of the directors ask with a curious tone, "And that girl boss, who is she?" Liam answered without looking up, "Someone who definitely doesn't serve coffee like the others." On the elevator ride back to the janitor's floor, Emma stared at her reflection in the mirrored wall. "Well done, Thompson. You officially soaked the boss and cracked a joke. Brilliant. HR, is going to love this. What she didn't know was that at that very moment the boss had already asked the security team for the file of the coffee-spilling gymnast Emma Thompson, 23 years old. Morning cleaning shift responsible for causing the CEO's first genuine smile in years. The coffee hadn't even dried on Liam's suit, and the Carter Enterprises building was already buzzing with rumors. The news spread faster than an office cake. Email, a janitor spilled coffee on the CEO, and he smiled. No yelling, no firing, no lawsuit, just a smile. On the 12th floor, the finance team was convinced Emma was the owner's long-lost niece. On the 18th, people were whispering about a secret affair between her and Liam that had been going on for months. By the 21st floor, there was even a WhatsApp group named Ship M. Liam. Meanwhile, Emma was hiding behind the maintenance room door, clutching an industrial roll of toilet paper, trying to calm her breathing. I'm going to get fired. No doubt. They'll ask for my badge, my uniform, maybe even the mop, she muttered, pacing like a fugitive on the run. The phone rang. Emma jumped so hard she dropped the roll and nearly tripped over it. Janitorial. Good morning, she answered, trying to sound professional. Emma Thompson, a formal voice asked on the other end. Yes, that's me. But if this is about the coffee, I swear it wasn't personal, and the bucket had nothing to do with it. Mr. Liam Carter has requested your presence on the 35th floor conference room. Immediately, Emma nearly dropped the phone. She swallowed hard. You mean like right now? That's right. She hung up slowly, took a deep breath, then muttered a quiet curse. If I knew dancing with a mop would get me called to the CEO's office, I'd have filmed it for TikTok and landed a sponsorship by now. The elevator ride to the 35th floor had never felt so slow. Emma watched the digital numbers light up floor by floor, like she was being taken to the gallows. When the doors opened, the place looked exactly as she remembered. Soft carpet, dark wood paneling art that looked like it came from $1 million auction, and a silence so deep, her footsteps felt like a crime. The executive receptionist, a blonde woman with the kind of look that could judge the color of your soul, scanned Emma from head to toe. Waiting for Mr. Carter, she asked in a tone cold enough to freeze hot coffee. I think so. I was called. Not sure waiting is the right word. Maybe trying not to faint. The receptionist didn't even crack a smile. She simply pointed to a leather chair. Emma sat down stiff. Her hands were sweating so much it felt like she'd washed her entire soul. 5 minutes later, Liam Carter appeared in the hallway, calm, impeccable, wearing a clean shirt. Clearly changed, but still, with that same look like he had something in mind. Miss Thompson, would you come with me? He said, his tone both formal and kind. Emma stood so quickly she banged her knee on the coffee table. She tried to smile, but it came out like someone getting shocked. She followed Liam into a smaller room with a panoramic city view. He gestured to a chair. She sat down with the posture of someone waiting for a court sentence. Before you assume anything, you're not here to be reprimanded. Liam began sitting across from her. Quite the opposite. So I'm not fired. No, far from it. Emma eyed him suspiciously. I spilled coffee on your chest on a suit that probably cost twice what my car is worth. I joked about selling a kidney. You laughed, and now you've called me up here like this is all normal. I'm sorry, but none of this is normal. Liam smiled again. That's exactly what caught my attention. Nothing about you is predictable, and honestly, that's refreshing. Emma frowned. You called me in here to say that I'm refreshing. Not exactly, but yes, that too. He folded his hands on the desk. I have a proposal. Let's call it an extra role. And I want to know if you'd be interested. Extra? What do you mean? Like cleaning the company helicopter's windows. Nothing that extreme. I need someone with a good eye, spontaneity, and a sense of humor. Someone to help me review how the company operates internally, how departments communicate, even help brainstorm ideas for the new app we're developing. And I'm not joking. Emma looked at him like she was listening to an alien speak. Latin. Wait a second. You want me to be like a business advisor, a coffee consultant. Call it whatever you like. But yes, I want your help to see the company from a perspective no one else here has. She glanced around, then back at him. You're messing with me, right? No, I'm hiring you. Silence. And the pay? Is it better than cleaning? Emma asked, blinking quickly. Liam chuckled. Considerably. Emma looked out the window, then down at her hands, then back at him. Okay, this is a prank, right? There's a hidden camera here somewhere. Liam simply stood and held out his hand. Welcome to the team again. She hesitated, then shook his hand. Just so you know, if I have to wear high heels, I trip even in sneakers. And if we go to any fancy event, I dance like drunk uncle level. I've noticed, he replied with a slight smile. Emma laughed nervously, but she laughed. As she left the office, she barely noticed that every pair of eyes on the 35th floor was now on her, but not as the coffee girl anymore. Emma Thompson was now officially the woman who spilled coffee on the boss and got promoted because of it. The next morning, Emma arrived at the Carter Enterprises building feeling a mix of anxiety, curiosity, and pure panic. She wore her usual worn-out jeans and a dress shirt, borrowed from a night shift cleaning coworker who swore it brought good luck in interviews. The shirt was a bit tight across the chest and a bit loose in the shoulders, but it still looked more presentable than the cleaning uniform she had on the day she became company gossip as the girl who spilled coffee and got promoted. As she crossed the lobby, she could feel the stares, some curious, some judgmental. But the worst part was overhearing two receptionists whispering, "Is that her, the coffee girl?" "Yeah, that's her. They say the CEO is obsessed with her, and that she's becoming his personal advisor, but she didn't even go to college." Emma picked up the pace. "Great, I'm famous. Next step, background actor in a corporate soap opera," she muttered. When she got to the elevator, the doors opened to reveal none other than Liam Carter, dressed in a flawless navy blue suit, holding a cup of coffee, apparently unharmed. "Good morning, Miss Thompson," he said casually. "Good morning, boss," she replied, stepping into the elevator with the grace of a goat tripping up the stairs. "You can call me Liam. I'd rather not risk it. Next thing I know, I'm calling you Lee or Babe. Better keep it professional," she said, only realizing afterward that she'd said it all out loud. Liam raised an eyebrow. "Then let's stick with boss for now." Emma covered her face with her hand. "This is going to be a disaster." Liam laughed. "On the contrary, it's going to be interesting." On the 34th floor, where the executive and strategic projects teams were located, Emma was led to a small room with a round table, a laptop, and a chair just for her. "This will be your base," Liam explained, coming in with a folder. "But your role will be a lot more dynamic than just sitting here, dynamic like delivering the mail or like climbing the side of the building with confidential reports. Something in between." Emma leaned back. "Now that's what I call a mysterious briefing." Liam placed a flash drive on the table. "This has some internal documents, flowcharts, communications projects, and a report on company culture. I want you to read it all and tell me what you think." "What I think exactly. No filters, no corporate lingo, no synergy alignment talk. I want your view, honest, creative, real." Emma looked at the flash drive like it might explode. "This looks like the kind of thing that leaks and turns into a media scandal, and then someone mysteriously disappears on a trip to the Caribbean. I promise you won't disappear unless it's for vacation," he said, amused. She crossed her arms. "And what if I read it and think it's all garbage? Even better. Just don't hold anything back." Emma picked up the flash drive like she was accepting a challenge on a reality show. "All right, but just so you know, my feedback comes with a heavy dose of brutal honesty and uncontrollable humor. That's exactly why I chose you." Over the next few hours, Emma dove into the documents. It was a mix of shock, boredom, and the urge to laugh. Some reports were so filled with corporate jargon, they felt like they were written by robots. Charts with no-label sentences like synergistic actions between adjacent sectors of the matrix core structure. And the best part, a presentation with 78 slides, 77 of them pie charts. Literally, she stood up and walked straight to Liam's office. Knocked once, opened the door. "Got 2 minutes," Liam looked at his watch. "I've got 3. "Perfect. Here it is. Your internal culture presentation made me hungry. I've never seen that much pizza in one place. And I sit near the cleaning staff's break room." Liam held back a laugh. "Go on." "The report about department integration is so confusing it could have been written by a drunk magician. There's an org chart that starts in HR, goes through finance, and ends in landscaping. And the wording, seriously, you guys are addicted to empty terms. Re-engineering, strategic validation, mindset activation. Is this company culture or some kind of witchcraft?" Now Liam was laughing for real. "Keep going. And the best part, I found a report that says employee motivation is directly linked to the availability of fresh fruit. But in the cafeteria, all I saw were green bananas and shriveled apples." Liam was mentally noting every point. "Honestly, if you want to motivate people, get a decent cappuccino machine and make Fridays casual. I'm already rethinking the dress code," he said. Emma smiled. "If you allow shorts, I'll make a PowerPoint full of donut charts just to mess with you." "Deal." She was about to leave when he said, "One more thing. Tomorrow we're going to the customer service department. I want you to watch how they work. Listen to calls. Feel the atmosphere. Then tell me what's really going on." "Got it. Detective Thompson on the case. But do I need to dress up? Just be yourself so I can wear my Scooby-Doo t-shirt. If it helps you be honest, wear the Shrek one." The next day, Emma spent the morning in customer service, disguised as a new trainee. She listened to everything: customers yelling, staff smiling through stress complaints about a broken button in the company's app, and even a lady who called thinking it was a pizza place, which almost made her laugh out loud for obvious reasons. She wrote everything down in a worn-out little notebook system. Crashes during checkout. No one understands the basic plan. Plastic water cups smell like eggs. Employee Caleb says "you know" in every sentence. At the end of her shift, she went back to Liam's office. "Okay, mission report. People are losing it. Let's break it down. Your app is pretty modern but crashes more than an old phone at 3% battery. The support team is friendly but they're at their limit. Some folks are shouting about double billing. Others can't update their credit card. And the employees they're surviving, they joke they help each other but they need training. They need clarity. They need, I don't know, basic respect for the work they do. Liam sat silently for a few seconds. Great job, Emma. Way more useful than any consulting report. She raised an eyebrow. Wow. So, is this official? Am I hired as a high-end spy? Official. And there's still one more thing. What is it I need you to join next week's board meeting as my guest? Emma nearly fell out of her chair. A meeting with those suit guys who look like they were born in a tie. Exactly. I want you to present your observations your way. No filter, Mr. Carter. This could be the end of my short but glorious career, or the start of something much bigger. Emma thought for a second. Then she stood up, adjusted her t-shirt. Yes, the Scooby-Doo one, and said, fine, but only if I can use slides with GIFs allowed. And if someone interrupts me, can I respond with memes? As long as they're not cat memes, go ahead. She smiled. You're crazier than you look, and you're smarter than you think. They exchanged a quick look. One of those 2-second glances, but it said a lot. Emma Thompson was no longer just the coffee girl. She was becoming an unpredictable force in the corporate game. And for the first time in a long while, Liam Carter was genuinely excited to have someone on his side who didn't wear a social mask. Emma stared at the computer like it was an evil sphinx trying to stop her from entering the boardroom. On the screen, the Carter Enterprises files were open spreadsheets, charts, market studies, and acronyms that sounded like spells from some corporate version of Harry Potter, KPI, ROI, SLA, CPA. To her, all of it meant just one thing: help. She took a deep breath, kicked off her sneakers, climbed onto the chair, and sat cross-legged just like she did whenever it was time to have a serious talk with the universe. It was her official position for panic, with a touch of fake meditation. Okay, Em, you danced in front of the window, spilled coffee on the CEO, became an unofficial consultant, and now you have to present ideas to the company's top executives. No big deal. All that's left is for the government to ask you to rewrite the Constitution, she muttered, staring at the keyboard. She opened a new browser tab, typed, How to look smart in a meeting when you don't know anything. The search results didn't help much, but they sparked an idea: learn even if the hard way. Over the next few hours, Emma dove into an intense crash course she named Operation Google Plus Black Coffee. For every strange acronym she found, she typed it into the search bar like she was the most dedicated digital marketing student in history. KPI, she found out it wasn't a Korean boy band. It meant Key Performance Indicator, ROI, not the name of a medieval character. It stood for Return on Investment. SLA, nothing to do with So Lovely Always. It was a service-level agreement, and so on. Little by little, with simple articles, explainer videos, and one very suspicious tutorial by a guy called Venture Leo, Emma started building a small arsenal of buzzwords and basic understanding. Each new bit of knowledge was celebrated with a quick spin in her chair. She laughed to herself. Look at that. I know what a sales funnel is. Who would have thought the mop girl now understands what a qualified lead is? She cheered, raising her arms like she just won a marathon. The next day, Liam stopped by Emma's office for a quick chat. He knocked lightly, and when he saw her sitting on the floor surrounded by sticky notes, he chuckled. This is your organization method. Emma looked around and shrugged. I call it functional chaos. Liam stepped inside and looked over the notes, stuck to the floor, the desk, and even a disposable cup. Customers in pain is opportunity, he read out loud. Interesting. That's from Venture Leo's third video. And honestly, it makes sense. If the customer's in pain, you offer the solution. You just can't be the one causing the pain. Then it becomes a toxic relationship. Liam laughed. What else have you learned? That cold leads need warming up. That CAC isn't just a coughing sound. That metrics should be interpreted, not worshipped. And that you really should rename one of the departments. Operational support planning sounds like a rugby team. I'll take that under advisement. And how's your presentation coming along? Emma turned serious for a moment, then said, Sorry I'm not smart, but I have Google, and these days that's pretty close to having an MBA. Liam leaned against the wall and crossed his arms. Em, no one here expects you to be an expert. We just want you to be you. That's exactly what scares me, being me, in front of people who say things like result transversalization, without tripping over the words. And that's exactly why you matter in that room. She sighed. All right, but if I freeze halfway through, you better come up with some classy excuse like, Miss Thompson had to step out for an urgent NASA video conference. Deal. Emma smiled. And if I say something completely ridiculous like mix up benchmarking with bench press, I'll pretend it's a brilliant metaphor and we'll put it in the minutes. On the day of the meeting, Emma arrived early. She wore a borrowed blazer that was about 2 sizes, too big a shirt that didn't quite match, and white sneakers because, as she put it, if she was going to trip in front of the board, at least she'd do it with style and stability. In the conference room, the most powerful people at Carter Enterprises were gathered folks with double last names, watches worth more than cars, and expressions that mixed boredom with superiority. Emma sat next to Liam, her laptop open, her sticky notes somewhat organized, and her breathing in full. "I'm fine. I just look like I'm about to faint" mode. Liam started the meeting. "Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a different kind of presentation. I invited someone who brings a valuable perspective outside the traditional mold but full of authenticity. Emma, the floor is yours." She swallowed hard, stood up, and began. First, slide a gif of a kitten trying to push a box much bigger than itself. Below it the caption, "You might not know everything, but you can learn anything." Quite chuckles. And then Emma began to speak. "I'm Emma Thompson. I started here in the cleaning staff, and I've learned that people don't always listen to what we say in the hallways, but they do notice when we spill something on the CEO's suit." Pause, followed by laughter. "Since I got invited to this wild thing called a secret task, I've learned a lot, mostly thanks to Google, but also by listening to the people who really keep this company going, the everyday employees." And then she began. She talked about useless reports, about overly complicated words, about the gravel voice support reps, real customer complaints, the never-ending pie charts, and the sad wrinkled apple in the break room. She showed photos with permission, pointed out simple solutions, highlighted obvious issues, and ended with a sticky note taped to her screen that read, "If internal communication needs a dictionary, something's not right." There was total silence and then real applause. Liam looked clearly pleased. The directors were surprised, and Emma, well, she felt like she was floating. After the meeting, one of the directors came over. "Miss Thompson, I really liked how you presented everything straightforward, fun, honest. Thank you. I practiced 3 times and deleted 2. Liam appeared behind them, smiling. "Told you she was different, didn't I?" Blushing, Emma replied. "I'm just a mix of Google sarcasm and curiosity, that and strong coffee." Later that afternoon, back in her makeshift office, Emma put on her headphones, hit play on her personal victory playlist. She made it still wearing white sneakers and started rearranging her sticky notes. Liam showed up at the door, still awake. "Always. The corporate world isn't going to take me down that easily. So how'd your big debut feel? I didn't throw up. That's a win in my book." "You were amazing." Emma smiled, then looked at him a second longer than usual. "You know, thanks for letting me just be me, even if I seem totally out of place here." Liam stepped in a little closer. There was something different in his eyes now. Less CEO, more Liam. "Em, you're not out of place. No, you're exactly what this place needs to change." Emma looked away, shy but smiling. And in that brief silence, something invisible but powerful began to take shape between spreadsheets and jokes, reports and gifs, something no KPI in the world could ever measure. Emma Thompson was no longer the coffee girl. Now she was the woman who had the courage to be herself and made the company's CEO start seeing the world a little differently. And maybe, just maybe, his heart was also entering an emotional restructuring phase. On Thursday morning, Emma walked into the company in a great mood. It was the kind of day where the sun was shining just right. The break room coffee was miraculously hot, and even the apples looked less shriveled than usual. Everything pointed to a calm workday until she spotted a group of employees in the lobby, all staring in the same direction, with wide eyes and half-open mouths. Curious as ever and naturally drawn to places she probably shouldn't be, Emma walked over quietly and saw what had everyone's attention. A tall woman in red heels, a fitted black dress, her hair in a perfect bun and sunglasses, straight out of a spy movie. She walked with the confidence of someone who knew she was being watched and knew she deserved to be. Behind the woman, 2 assistants followed, carrying a folder, a tablet, and a glass bottle of water with lemon slices. The full executive package, warning high alert style. "Who is that?" Emma whispered to the receptionist, who looked completely hypnotized. "You don't know, that's Sophia Bennett." "Should I? She's Liam Carter's ex-fiancée." Emma practically choked on her own breath. They were engaged for almost 2 years. She was the director of international expansion here before she took a job in Europe. Rumor was he was going to officially propose in Paris, but she broke it off first. She's a legend. Emma looked again. Sophia stepped into the elevator like a star, making a comeback. The elevator bell rang. Emma was still frozen in place. "Oh great. The storyline just introduced a classy ex into my current chapter," she muttered. "Wonderful. What's next?" A smarter version of me shows up as my stunt double up on the 35th floor. Liam was reviewing a performance report from the development team when he heard a soft knock on the door. "Come in," he said, eyes still on the screen. "Still taking your coffee with organic sugar, or do you drink it black now?" to match your new image," said a firm, ironic female voice. Liam looked up. There she was, just like he remembered, as if not a single day had passed since they last saw each other, even though it had been over 2 years. "Sophia," he said, standing up. "Liam, you still owe me an explanation about Paris. You know, I thought you didn't want to hear anything else back then." "True, but still, it would have been polite of you to tell me what happened after I left." "A lot happened. For one, I changed the break room coffee." She laughed that dry, elegant laugh like she was always posing for a magazine. "And I heard you've been promoting cleaning staff to strategic roles." "Interesting. Talented people. It's not every day you find someone challenging the system with post-its and cat gifs. So it's true. The girl from the coffee station is now your what? Consultant, personal assistant, secret new love." Liam paused for a moment. "She's someone who sees the company more clearly than a lot of folks who've been pretending to understand it for years." "Oh, Liam, still a romantic. Just changed your kind of poetry." Sophia took 2 steps closer to the table. "I'm here because I'm the new representative from Vista Ventures for the Innovation Fund negotiations. Surprise, looks like fate wants us side by side again. Business is business, of course. But it doesn't have to be just business," she said, with an enigmatic smile. Meanwhile, Emma was back in her makeshift office, trying hard to pretend she didn't care. She was supposed to be reviewing the company's new app layout, but her brain just kept replaying Sophia's confident walk, the rumors about her past with Liam, and the way she spoke, like she was always 3 steps ahead of the world. "Sophia Bennett sounds like a soap opera villain or a fancy perfume," she said to herself. The intercom beeped. It was a reminder, strategic alignment meeting in 15 minutes. And guess who was invited as a special observer? Yep, Emma Thompson. In the conference room, the air felt colder than the AC could explain. Seated around the table were the company's top leaders, with Liam at the head and Sophia to his right. Emma took a seat at the opposite end, trying not to be noticed, but still very much there. Sophia was the first to speak. "In my initial review, I see that Carter Enterprises has been making bold moves, which is admirable. However, when we talk about real innovation, we need solid structures and people with technical experience. Professionalism, clarity." Emma smiled, catching the subtle jab dressed up as a compliment. She raised her hand. "May I comment?" Liam looked at her and nodded. "Sure. Well, I believe innovation also means listening to those who've never been heard. That professionalism doesn't come in just one form. And that clarity is when anyone in the company understands what's going on. If it takes a dictionary, we failed." Silence. A quiet tension filled the room. Sophia kept her smile. "An unusual point of view. Thank you. Unusual is my middle name. First name's Emma, in case anyone forgot," she said, still smiling. Liam held back a laugh. The others glanced at each other. The meeting went on. Sophia presented polished arguments, global case studies, massive graphs. Emma took notes, and every now and then dropped a sharp, funny, straight-to-the-point comment. A total contrast. One looked like she walked out of an Oxford MBA. The other like she came from a stand-up show with a PhD in real life. And Liam, he watched them both, the old and the new, the past and the present. When the meeting ended, Emma was the first to leave. She needed air. In the break room, she poured coffee into a mug and stared out the window. She thought about how easy it was to feel small when everything around you seemed bigger, more polished, more prepared. Sophia had presence. She had experience. She had history with Liam. Emma had a sense of humor and access to Google. Feeling the weight of the room, Liam asked, walking up behind her. "You know your ex-fiancée has the aura of a CEO with magical powers, right?" "I noticed it again today." "Emma," I hid. "Just to be clear, I'm not competing with her. If I were, I'd ask to change the rules, like whoever messes up fewer Disney character names wins." Liam took a step closer. "You don't have to compete with anyone. Doesn't feel like it. Feels like there's a big before me that still takes up a lot of space. The before is part of my story, but it doesn't define my present." Emma looked at him. "And where exactly is your present?" "Right here," he said, taking one more step until they were very close. She took a deep breath. "Just so you know, I'm not exactly elegant. I talk loud sometimes. I collect internet memes. And honestly, I don't even know how to walk in heels." "Perfect. I prefer white sneakers." Emma smiled. A small smile, but full of possibilities. That Tuesday morning, Emma woke up with a determined thought. "Today is the day I finally become a serious woman. No more jokes, no more memes, no more being the funny coffee girl. Today, I'm a corporate woman." She looked in the mirror and repeated corporate. Then she sighed, put on a white shirt that wrinkled just by looking at it, and a pair of dress pants that kept slipping down her waist. She tied her hair into a messy bun, the kind that starts out looking polished and ends up like a bird's nest. In her backpack was the flash drive with the presentation for the most important meeting of the month, the Carter Enterprises Innovation Committee. with outside investors, regional directors, and of course Liam Carter. But what Emma didn't know, and this would change the course of her entire day, was that she had saved the wrong PowerPoint file to her flash drive because of a file name mix-up. Yes, the wrong one. Not the one with the charts, the analysis, the bold ideas. No, without realizing it, she was bringing the file she used as a design mock-up, a test slideshow filled with rubber duckies. When she arrived at the meeting room, Emma was the first one there. She plugged the flash drive into the company laptop, loaded up the file titled Practical Solutions for Internal Engagement, and sat beside the table waiting for the others. The room began to fill up first, the directors, then the investors, finally Liam. He walked in as polished as ever, and gave her a small nod, discreet but familiar. Emma nodded back with what she hoped was a professional smile, but probably looked more like a facial twitch. Once everyone was seated, the lights dimmed, the projector came on, and Emma stood up with the posture of someone about to lead a corporate revolution. Good morning, everyone. Today I'd like to present a different perspective on internal engagement. One that comes from the field, from real listening, and that starts with simplicity. She clicked to the first slide. A blue background appeared with a rubber duck in the center. The caption read, "The importance of swimming together. Silence." Emma blinked. She clicked to the second slide. When a duck swims alone, it gets lost. Image a row of toy ducks in a child's bathtub. More silence. Liam pressed his lips together clearly, trying to figure out what was going on. Emma, heart racing, clicked again. Engagement is like warm water. You can't see it, but everyone feels it. Ducks floating in a bathtub. Eyes were shifting around the room. Emma froze. She clicked the last slide out of instinct. Together, we are a lake of potential. 3 ducks side by side wearing sunglasses. She slowly pulled her hand away from the mouse like she had just set off a bomb. This clearly is not the right file, she said, voice shaky. A few soft chuckles started. She looked at Liam, panicking. He kept a straight face for 3 seconds. Then he broke the silence. Well, at least the ducks are well organized. The room laughed, and the tense mood completely shifted. Emma took advantage of the moment. Okay, since we've started in a rather unexpected way, let me tell you what was supposed to be on that flash drive besides my dignity, which just went down the drain. The laughter got louder. Emma took a deep breath, and without the PowerPoint, started to speak from the heart. I had prepared a presentation full of data and charts. But maybe this is better, because real engagement isn't in the graphs. It's in the hallway conversations. It's in the frontline employees who deal with frustrated customers every day, in the technician who stays late to fix bugs in the system, and in that morning coffee where you either feel like just a number or like someone who matters. She looked around at the attentive faces. What I've seen in the past few months is that this company is like a lake, big, full of possibilities, but sometimes with ducks swimming alone, lost, not sure where to go. So maybe the duck metaphor isn't that bad after all. Silence, and then applause. Real applause. Emma looked at Liam. He was watching her with a mix of admiration and pride. After the meeting, Emma headed straight to the break room and hid behind the coffee machine. Ducks, Em. All you had to do was check the file name, she muttered, punching the coffee button like it was to blame. There are people in this world who cry over graphs, said a voice behind her. It was Liam. Some people make others nervously laugh with rubber ducks, she replied without turning around. But you did more than that. You made everyone stop and think. And you didn't even need a single pizza chart. She turned and laughed. If you keep complimenting me like that, I might just bring a stuffed duck to my next presentation. If it's wearing sunglasses, it might just work. They both laughed and then fell silent for a few seconds. You know, Liam, Emma said, looking down at the cup in her hands, I thought today would be humiliating, that people would laugh at me in a cruel way. But you didn't laugh. You stood by me because I knew you'd pull through. You always do. Emma went quiet for a moment. And what if I hadn't? I'd still be by your side. Silence this time, deeper, full of meaning. She took a step closer. You're starting to seem dangerous. At this rate, I might actually fall for you. Liam didn't answer right away. He just looked at her face. And then in the softest voice he'd used so far, he said, "And who said that would be a problem?" Emma had no words, but inside she knew. Right there in the company break room next to the coffee machine, and surrounded by metaphorical ducks, something shifted. The following week, the duck presentation became a company legend. Some employees made stickers that said "swim together" and stuck them on office doors. Others left real rubber ducks on Emma's desk. One of the directors sent an email. "Congratulations on your courage. You turned a technical disaster into a message we'll never forget." Emma replied, "It was accidental, but I'll take the credit." And Liam, well, he started showing up in her office more often sometimes, to talk about ideas other times, just to hear her speak. On Thursday, write a toll nul. Emma was reorganizing her sticky notes when a notification popped up on her phone. It was a simple message. Lunch with me today. Sure. Sancher. Fatex's restaurant. L. She stared at the screen for 3 seconds, then looked at her reflection in the window. She was wearing a light blue blouse, her hair half tied up, and a pair of white sneakers that had clearly seen better days. She picked up the phone again, typed, "Sure I can," deleted the emoji, retyped, "Sure I can," and hit send. At 12:28, she made her way down the building with a knot in her stomach. The restaurant was on the top floor with glass walls and a panoramic view of the city. It was fancy cloth napkins waiters who spoke softly. She felt out of place the moment she walked in. Liam was already there, seated at a corner table, looking at the menu with a relaxed expression. He wore a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up and the same understated watch as always. When he saw Emma, he stood up, pulled out her chair and said, "I'm glad you came." The waiter came over. Liam ordered a red berry juice. Emma, unsure of what to pick, ordered the same. There were a few seconds of silence. Then she pulled her reading glasses from her bag and said, "I don't even know what half these menu items are. There's something here called filet mignon with wine reduction and herb crust. Is that just meat with sauce, or is it going to sing to me too?" Liam laughed. "It's meat with sauce. I'll order 2. Do you trust me? Only if it comes with rice?" "I promise it does." He closed the menu and handed it to the waiter. Emma adjusted the napkin in her lap and looked around. Most of the customers were in suits or formal dresses. The tables were quiet, filled with murmurs. "Everyone's so elegant," she said. "You are too." She raised an eyebrow. "I'm wearing the same shirt my neighbor uses to walk her dog." Liam smiled. "Even so, you stand out." Emma stirred her juice, trying not to blush. The waiter brought the starter a basket of bread and tiny jars of spreads. Emma took the smallest piece and added a modest amount of pâté, trying to look refined, but ended up dropping half of it on the tablecloth. Liam pretended not to notice. She pretended everything was under control. So she asked, "Are you going to tell me the reason for this lunch? I need you to join a meeting with the IT team next week. They're working on redesigning the app, and your hands-on perspective could really help. Also, I wanted to talk outside that environment, the office." "Yeah, and also away from Sophia." Emma set her glass down. "She's still around temporarily. She's helping with the investor negotiations, but she'll head back to London as soon as we finish the approval round." "And have you two been talking professionally?" "Yes." Emma nodded. She split the bread in half and focused on the motion. "Look, if it's uncomfortable for you to include me in meetings while she's here, it's okay. I get it. It's not uncomfortable for me. But maybe it is for her. It's not her fault." Emma stayed quiet. The main course arrived: 2 steaks, served with roasted potatoes, dark sauce, and a touch of herbs. Liam thanked the waiter. Emma looked at the plate and said, "This looks like one of those fancy dishes that leaves me hungry again in 20 minutes. Good thing I ordered dessert." She let out a quick laugh. Liam cut a piece of meat. "About the meeting yesterday with the investors. You were amazing, even with the ducklings. I still can't believe that happened, but at the same time, I'm not sure I could have said what I said if I'd had the right slides, which is exactly why it was better than I expected. Now everyone knows me as the duck lady. Any minute now someone's going to give me a mug with a rubber duck inside. Already ordered. I approved the design yesterday." Emma laughed. "No way. Just kidding." They both smiled. The conversation got lighter. Emma talked about her childhood in the countryside, how she learned to make coffee with her grandma, and about the school competitions she always won, just for yelling the loudest. Liam shared how he almost missed the first big meeting of his life because he got stuck in an airport bathroom. Time flew by. After the main course, the waiter brought 2 glasses of chocolate mousse with a decorative mint leaf. Emma took the leaf off and set it aside. "I don't get why they put weeds on dessert. It's to make it look fancy. If that's what makes it fancy next week, I'll bring some kale in my purse." Liam almost choked from laughing. "I wanted to ask you something," he said, wiping his mouth with the napkin. "Another lunch. A company event. A small get-together. No ties, no Sophia, just people from the team. I'd like you to come with me." Emma sat down her spoon. "Like as your date?" "Yes." She paused for a second. "Are you sure I am? Because I still might trip at the entrance, spill soda on someone, and accidentally start a karaoke war. I'm counting on it." Emma took a deep breath. "Okay, I'll go, but only if I get to pick the karaoke song." "Deal." They both stood up. Liam paid the bill. They walked side by side to the elevator. Inside, they were quiet for a few floors. On the 28th, Emma looked at him. "That was a good lunch." "I agree." "And different." "I agree with that too." The door opened. They stepped out together, and for the first time, Liam put his hand on her shoulder before heading to his office. Emma stood in the hallway for a few seconds, looking at the spot where he disappeared. Then she took a deep breath, turned on her heels, and headed back to her office. It was Tuesday, but it felt like a Friday. The afternoon after lunch, Liam was in his office reviewing the development schedule when the door opened without warning. "Do you have a minute?" a firm voice asked. Liam looked up. It was Noah Carter, his older brother, and the chief financial officer of Carter Enterprises. Dark gray suit, burgundy tie, and the usual look of someone about to audit your soul. "Of course," Liam said, putting away the papers and motioning for him to sit. Noah didn't sit. "Can we talk?" As brothers, Liam crossed his arms, keeping a neutral tone. "Always." "Good. Then answer me honestly. Are you involved with that girl?" Liam took 2 seconds before answering. "If by involved you mean I see her as a smart professional, someone valuable to the company, and someone I enjoy talking to, then yes." Noah scoffed. "Liam, you're the CEO. A few months ago, she was on the cleaning staff. People are talking. Some board members are concerned about what exactly that someone got promoted because she has better ideas than a bunch of guys in suits. Concerned that I might be mixing personal and professional matters." "It's happened before." Liam looked at him. "Sophia and I were engaged. I never gave her special treatment in the company. And Emma is different. Different how she's not after a title or status. She has vision, clarity, and the courage to say what no one else does. That should be something we're proud of, not something to hide." Noah walked around the office, glancing out the window. "You know, I'm the first to support innovation, but the board doesn't see it that way. If you keep going down this path, you'll have to deal with the consequences. And I'm not just talking about office gossip." Liam was silent for a moment. "Thanks for the warning, but my decision stands." Noah stopped at the door. "All I'm saying is be careful. Carter Enterprises carries our name, and right now it's on your shoulders." He left. The door closed. Liam looked at his reflection in the glass. His shoulders really did seem heavier. On the makeshift office on the 34th floor, Emma was reviewing for the 3rd time the internal improvement suggestion form she had created herself. She had already received over 100 responses, and many of them were ridiculous. One employee suggested ball pits to relieve stress, another a fridge just for desserts. But in the middle of all the exaggerations, there were some good ideas. She barely noticed when Liam walked in. "Can I interrupt?" Emma looked up. He seemed more serious than usual. "Of course. Did something happen?" Liam sat down in the chair beside her without his usual lightness. "Noah came to see me. The board is questioning your presence in strategic meetings. Plus, they're raising concerns about impartiality." Emma pressed her lips together. "So it's official. I'm this week's office gossip." "It's more than that. Noah warned me that if I keep involving you in high-level decisions, I might face direct pressure from the board, including temporary replacement." Emma leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. "And you, what are you going to do? I'm not sidelining you." She stayed quiet. "Liam, I don't want to be the reason for an internal crisis, and I don't want to be the kind of leader who gives in to fear." Emma looked at him, not as a CEO but as a man, and understood the weight he was carrying. "Then let's do it the right way. No favoritism, no improvising. Let me present the project results in the most formal way possible, with data, with structure. If after that they still say I'm just the woman you like, then they're lying to themselves." Liam nodded, visibly relieved. "All right, but I want to prepare you for something. Sophia will be one of the evaluators." "Good. Even better. Really. She'll be hoping I mess up, and when I don't, she'll have to swallow her pride with hot sauce." Liam smiled for the first time that afternoon. The following days were intense. Emma spent hours reviewing charts, validating data with different departments, organizing everything into a new PowerPoint. This time, no ducks. She created a 3-step implementation plan with real goals, impact forecasts, and even a backup strategy. She asked for help from colleagues, from department heads she had interviewed, and even the front desk staff. The night before the presentation, she barely slept, ate poorly, but arrived at the office early. In the elevator, she passed Noah. He gave her a polite nod. She answered with a steady smile. The meeting room was already set up. Liam sat toward the back with the directors. Sophia was in the center with a tablet and an unreadable expression. Across the table, the board representatives. Emma walked in holding a folder. Simple, tidy clothes, hair, pulled back, confident steps. She began her presentation. "Good morning. My name is Emma Thompson, and I'm here because a few months ago I saw something on the cafeteria floor, a wilted apple next to it, an exhausted-looking employee, and that made me think, how many good ideas are we losing because no one listens to the people who don't wear ties?" The slides followed data charts, real employee stories, practical suggestions, expected results. Emma presented an engagement plan focused on internal recognition, workplace improvements, and stronger communication between departments. She pointed out flaws in the onboarding process, offered simple solutions with direct impact. She spoke with clarity, no jokes, no humor. At the end, she said, "I'm not asking for a title or a position. All I ask is that just once we listen to the people who live the company from the inside, the ones who clean the floors, who answer the phones, who move the boxes, because those are the people who hold up the building, not the reports." Silence. And then applause. First, soft, then stronger. Noah didn't clap, but he didn't criticize either. Sophia closed her tablet, looked at Emma, and for the first time seemed to respect her, even if reluctantly. Liam just smiled. After the presentation, Emma returned to her office. She was exhausted but at peace. Liam showed up a few minutes later holding 2 bottles of juice. "You did it." Emma took the bottle. "So did you. The board approved the plan and officially recognized you as an internal development analyst." Emma opened the bottle, took a sip. "Well, now if I trip, at least I'll have a title." Liam stepped closer, touched her arm. "Em." She looked at him. "I know. I felt it for a while too." Liam stepped even closer. She didn't move away. And there in the middle of the office, no presentations, no spreadsheets, no projections, he kissed her. Simple, direct, just like everything they'd lived through up to that point. Carter Enterprises hosted a gala every year to celebrate the company's achievements, recognize top performers, and of course attract attention from the press and investors. It was the kind of event where everything sparkled, the floors, the dresses, the smiles. Even the champagne glasses seemed rehearsed to reflect the light with just the right amount of glamour. Emma Thompson, however, had never been to anything like it, and if it were up to her, she would have stayed far away. But after Liam's personal invitation and a kiss that echoed in her memory louder than any performance chart, there was no way to say no. "Are you sure about this?" asked Mia, the cleaning lady, and her friend, while helping with the zipper on the back of Emma's dress. "Of course not. But when life invites you to dance on a red carpet, you don't show up wearing flip-flops." The dress was rented navy blue, modest with an elegant neckline and a soft flow. Her hair was gently pinned up, and on her feet a pair of heels that felt more like a trap than footwear. Emma looked at her reflection in the mirror and swallowed hard. "If I fall tonight, at least I'll go down with style." The party would take place in the ballroom of the city's most luxurious hotel. Liam would pick her up at 7:30 p.m. At 7:28 he arrived. He wore a flawless black tuxedo. When Emma opened the door, he paused for a second. "Wow, is that your way of saying I look nice?" "It's my way of saying you took my breath away. Does that count?" Emma laughed, still feeling uncomfortable but grateful for the kindness. They got in the car. The drive was quiet, not for lack of conversation, but because of the tension that grew with every mile closer to the grand ballroom. When they arrived, they were greeted by camera flashes and polite greetings. Several executives approached Liam with well-rehearsed smiles. Many looked at Emma with curiosity, others with a touch of subtle judgment. She felt every one of those glances like tiny stings on her skin. "Ready?" Liam asked, offering his arm like someone about to skydive without checking the parachute. They walked in together. The ballroom was decorated in white and gold arrangements. Soft music played in the background. Waiters moved around with trays, and there was a large appetizer table in the center. Emma tried to relax, but the pressure was clear. Every few minutes someone would approach Liam and completely ignore her. When they did refer to her, it was as the guest or your assistant. After nearly 40 minutes of hearing names, titles, and market talk, Emma quietly stepped over to the bar. "Would you like something to drink, ma'am?" the bartender asked. "Do you have a juice that hides the urge to run away orange with mint?" "That'll do." She sipped it slowly, watching Liam interact with the executives. Every now and then he'd look for her and smile. But something felt off, a presence that lingered. Sophia Bennett. She appeared beside him in a red dress that hugged her figure, holding a champagne glass and smiling like someone who always owns the room. Emma saw it from a distance. Sophia placed her hand on Liam's arm while speaking, and he didn't pull away. There was no romantic gesture, no intimacy, but for Emma, it was enough. A few minutes later, she quietly stepped out through a side door and found herself in the hotel's garden. Small lights twinkled among the trees with stone benches lining the path. The fresh air hit her face like a relief. She sat on one of the benches, took off her shoes, and took a deep breath. "Knew I shouldn't have come," she said to herself. She heard footsteps. Liam appeared, hands in his pockets and his tie slightly loosened. "You disappeared. I'm out here trying to get blood flow back to my legs. These heels are institutional torture. I thought maybe you were upset." Emma looked at him. "I'm not upset, Liam. Just out of place. This isn't for me. I don't know how to walk or talk like these people. And worse, they don't want to understand me either." Liam sat down beside her. "Well, I do. You're part of this world, and still I'm here with you." Emma went quiet. "You saw Sophia with you, didn't you?" "Yes, I did. She looks like she belongs in that setting, and I look like a mistake." "Em, you changed this company. You're no mistake. And still there are people who expect you to be with someone like her, not me." Liam looked out at the garden. For a long time, I did exactly what people expected from me. The company, the investors, my brother, the perfect image. But for the first time, I don't want to follow the plan. I want what's real, what's simple, and what actually makes me smile. Emma crossed her arms. Then why does it still feel like you're torn between both worlds? Because I'm still learning how to leave one of them behind. She nodded. It's time to make a choice, Liam. Not between me and her, but between being who others expect you to be or being who you truly are. Silence. He picked up her shoes from the floor. Come with me. Where to just come? They walked out through the side gate of the hotel and strolled down the sidewalk. Liam loosened his tie. Emma laughed barefoot, holding her heels in her hand. They stopped in front of a small, well-lit diner. Want a burger? More than anything, they sat at a table in the back. The waiter brought 2 sandwiches, sodas, and fries. Emma took off her hair clip. Now this is a real gala dinner. I had to get you out of there. So did I. And please never let me wear heels again. I promise. Liam took her hand. I don't want to hesitate anymore or pretend. I want this right here. I want a life that makes sense, even if it's not perfect from every angle. She squeezed his fingers. And all I want to know is, are we getting dessert strawberry milkshake with 2 straws? He raised his hand and placed the order. In the corner of the diner, while soft old music played in the background, the two shared a milkshake and laughed at everything that night had turned out to be. Far from the spotlight, the pressure and appearances, they found something no fancy event could ever offer. The next morning after the gala, the offices of Carter Enterprises were as quiet as a calm morning after a storm. No gossip was going around yet, no updates in the company chats. It was as if everyone was waiting for something. Emma arrived early as usual and went straight to her office. Her hair was tied up in a messy bun. She wore a light blue cotton shirt and her signature white sneakers. She opened her laptop and checked her agenda for the day. 3 meetings, 2 report reviews, and a quick presentation to HR about the new team integration project. While finishing her review, a phone notification came in a meeting scheduled with Liam. Subject personal. Room 35. B. Time 9:30 a.m. She looked at the clock. 15 minutes to go. She stood up, took a deep breath, and walked toward the meeting room. Along the way, a few employees greeted her with discreet nods. Most of them already saw her with respect or at least curiosity. She was no longer the coffee girl. She was Emma Thompson, internal analyst, with a voice that mattered. When she got to room 35B, Liam was standing by the window. His sleeves were rolled up like he always did when trying to look relaxed, though his posture showed tension. She stepped in and closed the door. "Good morning," she said. "Good morning," he replied, turning slowly. Emma came closer. "You set this meeting as personal, and since we're not in a gala mood anymore, I'm guessing it's serious." Liam pointed to the chair. She sat down. He walked over to the table and placed 2 envelopes on it. "The board met last night after the event, and they gave me an ultimatum." Emma remained quiet. "They said I either step down temporarily from executive leadership until the end of the fiscal year to protect the company's image, or I keep my position as long as I immediately cut all informal ties with you." Emma looked at the envelopes. One, she realized, was the temporary leave form. The other likely a formal letter from legal requesting the break. So now it's officially me or the company. Liam nodded. "And you," he sighed. "I don't want to see your name in the press as part of a scandal, and I don't want to walk away entirely, but I can't just ignore all this like nothing's happening either." Emma leaned back in her chair. "The decision is yours, Liam. Yours alone. But let me tell you something. I never wanted your job, your company, or your media spotlight. I just wanted to be myself with you by my side, and with a little respect for what I bring to the table. I know that. So the question is, are you willing to go against your own name to stand up for something that might not seem impressive in the world's eyes?" Liam walked toward her, sat down in the chair across from her. "When I was a kid, my father used to say the name Carter had to stand for strength and tradition, and I believed that for a long time, but now I think maybe that name can mean something else, like what courage to change and freedom to choose." Emma looked at his face for a few seconds. "So what are you going to do?" Liam reached for the envelope about the leave and tore it in half. "I'm stepping down from the executive board for the next 6 months. I'll stay on as chairman, but out of the front line temporarily. That's going to come at a cost, not as much as losing you." Emma looked away for a moment, then gave a small smile. "I hope you're ready to do your own laundry from now on. I already asked the laundry team for help." She laughed. Liam stood up. "I'm making the announcement this afternoon. Until then, I want you to get ready to take the lead on the innovation committee for the next 6 months. You're the new coordinator, and this has nothing to do with us. It's about capability." Emma raised an eyebrow. "Coordinator. With autonomy, your own team, direct access to the board, and a salary that matches the responsibility." She was quiet for a moment. "Is this for real?" "As real as everything we're building," She stood up too. Then, I guess we're two people who don't quite fit the mold. Liam stepped closer. And that's exactly why the mold is going to change. They didn't say anything else, but they both knew that from that moment on, nothing would be the same. That same afternoon, Liam made the official announcement to the board and executive team his temporary leave from the CEO role. He explained it as a strategic move to reassess the structure and make room for new leadership. Some reacted with surprise, others with quiet frustration, but no one dared to argue. Noah's presence at the head of the table with a firm expression and crossed arms confirmed that there was pressure but also acceptance. After the meeting, Liam left his main office. His personal items fit into a small box, a mug, 2 books, and a picture frame with a photo of him and Noah taken many years ago. He looked at the photo for a moment and placed it in the box. On his way out, he saw Emma in the hallway talking with 2 members of the innovation team. She was focused, pointing at something on her tablet. He didn't interrupt, just walked by with a subtle nod. She noticed and returned the gesture with a quiet look. 2 days later, Carter Enterprises was already feeling the changes. Emma put together a group of 5 employees from different departments: customer service, finance, tech, HR, and logistics. They all had one thing in common: a desire to speak up and few chances to do so before. She called the project Real Space. The meetings started happening weekly in a relaxed room where name badges didn't matter. Ideas came from lived experience, and solutions came from those on the ground, not the top of the pyramid. At the end of the first week, she presented 3 proposals: switching the internal communication channel, redesigning the onboarding area for new hires, and launching an active listening program. All were approved by the board. Sophia, who was still in the country, watched from a distance. She didn't comment, but she declined an invitation to stay on as a company consultant after the transition period. Emma got the news through a short system notification. She didn't react, just kept typing the next steps of her plan. One evening when she got home, she found an envelope under the door. It was a handwritten note. Today I bought my own coffee for the first time in months. I messed up the sugar ratio but nailed the taste of freedom. Thank you for that. L. She smiled, leaning against the door, holding the note in her hands. The following weeks flew by. Emma's name started appearing in news articles about new female leadership, making a real difference in corporations. She was invited to speak at a conference on diverse backgrounds in strategic roles, but she never stopped visiting the cleaning floors. "Hey, Mia," called out one morning from her cleaning cart. "Hi. Do you still remember where it all started?" "I do. Right here with a dirty mop bucket and a stubborn floor and with a goofy little dance in front of the boss's window." "True," she said, laughing. One Friday near the end of the day, Emma got a message. "Got any plans right now?" She replied, "Only if it involves pizza and no high heels." 2 minutes later, her phone rang. "So that's a yes. If the pizza has stuffed crust, it's a very enthusiastic yes. I'll see you in 20 minutes. Liam picked her up, wearing a gray hoodie, sneakers, and 2 milkshakes in the car's cup holders. Emma got in laughing. Is this a shameless attempt to recreate the gala escape night? It's an attempt to make that our new normal. I'm in. He drove quietly for a while, then said, "I have an idea. Go ahead. What if we go a little further, like officially?" Emma raised her eyebrows. "You mean dating? Like building something bigger with time. No rush, but with purpose." She looked at him, then at the milkshake. "I'm in." Saturday morning came gray, with a sky full of clouds and a light mist covering the tallest buildings like a lazy blanket. Emma woke up early, not because she had to, but out of habit. She made a strong cup of coffee, put on her Saturday playlist, a mix of jazz and movie soundtracks from films she never finished watching, and started sorting through the piles of mail and papers that had been building up for weeks. While cleaning, she found an old planner, red cover, yellowed pages, and filled with random notes, shopping lists, reminders of dates. She forgot anyway lines she thought of using in some motivational speech, and among them one read, "The day you're noticed for being exactly who you are will be the most important day of your life." She smiled. At the time, she'd written it off as just another self-help quote, but now it felt almost like a prophecy fulfilled. While setting aside some clothes for donation, she got a message from Liam. "Today's my day off, but I have a special mission for you. Can I swing by in 30 minutes? Emma looked at her hair tied up with a makeshift clip, her old sweatshirt and colorful socks. "If it's a secret mission, I'll need more time to get ready." "No need. The mission requires you just the way you are." 30 minutes later, Liam arrived. He was dressed casually, black t-shirt and dark jeans. In the back seat of the car, a backpack. On his face, a quiet smile. "Ready for the mission. If it involves heights, ants, or public speaking, I'm going back to bed." "None of that. It's much simpler. Simple with you." "I doubt it. Trust me." Emma got in the car. He turned on the radio, and they drove through the quiet city streets. Traffic was light. The stoplights seemed perfectly timed. Emma looked out the window without asking questions. So where are we going? To the place where everything started to make sense for me. About 20 minutes later, the car stopped in front of a simple residential building with a well-kept garden and a glassed-in front desk. Liam got out, grabbed the backpack, and motioned for her to follow. You lived here for a while? Yes. Before becoming CEO during college. It's where I started to realize the world isn't built on advice, but on choices, and that the most important names aren't always in the contracts, but in the people who are there when everything's falling apart. They went up to the 5th floor. Apartment 503 still had a crooked number. Liam opened the door with an old key. Inside the place was simple, worn wooden floors, light-colored walls, a small shelf with a few books and a beat-up armchair by the window. It was cozy with the scent of old memories. Emma stepped in slowly. Why are we here? Liam pointed to the window. It was sitting in that chair, looking out this very window, that I decided I'd lead something meaningful one day. But now looking at this place again, I realize everything that matters is already here, and it has nothing to do with buildings or companies. She looked at him, trying to figure out what was coming next. Liam came closer, opened the backpack, and pulled out a small plain wooden box. She held her breath. He opened the box. It wasn't a ring. It was a note. She picked it up and read aloud. Will you build a life with me in the truest way possible? Even if it includes mistakes, stumbles, orange juice, and rubber duckies. She looked at him. Liam opened his other hand. This time there was a ring. I don't want a rush or a big ceremony. I just want to know if you'll be my partner every day. Wake up with me, laugh with me, argue when we need to, but never doubt that I want to be with you. Emma stayed quiet for a moment, then said, Was that a marriage proposal? I'd call it a proposal for forever, but marriage works too. She smiled. I'll say yes, but only if you promise not to let the laundry pile up for 3 weeks again. Deal. And if you let me pick the wedding music, as long as it's not something totally inappropriate. We'll see. Liam placed the ring on her finger. It was delicate silver with a small light blue detail, the color of the shirt she wore the day he saw her dancing with a cleaning cloth. They hugged. There was no music, no witnesses, but it was the beginning of something real. In the days that followed, Emma told Mia first, then the friends in the innovation team, then HR, and lastly her grandmother over the phone. So you're marrying that guy in the suit, that's the one. Does he know you snore? Not yet, but he'll find out soon enough. All right then. And if he sticks around after this, it's the real thing. The wedding was set for 2 months later. It would be simple outdoors, no neckties required. Pizza at the buffet and milkshakes for dessert. And of course a box of rubber duckies scattered around the decorations, one for each guest. Liam chose a light gray suit. Emma would wear a dress. She designed herself with help from a neighborhood seamstress. No heels, white sneakers, and a flower in her hair. The invitation read, You are invited to the most unexpected, light-hearted, and genuine wedding Carter Enterprises has ever seen, where it all started with a spilled coffee and ends with 2 people saying yes, Liam and Emma. The sun began to rise slowly behind orange-tinted clouds, as if the sky was getting ready not to miss the best moment of the day. It was Saturday wedding day. In the spacious backyard of a country house 40 minutes from the city, a decorating team was putting the final touches in place. Light wooden chairs arranged in a semicircle, small pots with wildflowers on the ground, and a table with simple arrangements of lavender, jasmine, and sunflowers, all chosen by Emma, who said, Pretty flowers are the ones that look like the countryside and smell like a hug. Next to the dessert table, a wooden box with dozens of rubber duckies waited for the guests. Above it, a cardboard sign read, Grab a duck. Today, everyone swims together. Emma was in a makeshift room on the property wearing a light white dress with wide straps and a blue ribbon tied around her waist. Her hair was in a loose braid, and on her feet, white sneakers with satin laces. Mia, her cleaning lady and friend, came in with teary eyes and a bottle of water. I still can't believe you're marrying the boss. Former boss Emma corrected her, smiling. Now he's just the love of my life. Mia wiped away a tear. If someone told me this story, I'd say it was made up or a movie. Yeah, but life is kind of crazy like that. At the entrance to the property, Liam was already waiting. Light gray suit, no tie hair, neatly combed and visibly nervous hands. Next to him, Noah, his brother, quietly took it all in. Still time to run? Liam asked with a slight smile. Are you out of your mind thinking that now? Noah replied, handing over an envelope. It's a gift from the board. They approved your return to your position after the wedding. But there's an extra clause. Emma will have a permanent seat on the company's culture committee. Liam opened the envelope, read quickly, and nodded. Thank you. I still think you've lost your mind, Noah said, looking around at the decorations, the ducks, and the smiling guests settling in. But maybe this is exactly what we needed. a bit of good chaos. By 10:30 in the morning, all the guests were in their seats, family, co-workers, childhood friends. Liam looked at her as if time had stopped. When she stopped in front of him, a respectful silence fell over the space. The officiant, a college friend of Emma's who also happened to be a stand-up comedian, took a deep breath. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today not to celebrate a fairy tale, but an unlikely path. One that started by accident, fueled by coffee, mistakes, honesty, and most of all, love." Emma looked at Liam. "When you first showed up in the hallway all buttoned up and cautious, I thought, this guy will never notice I exist. And I was right. You only remembered me because I spilled coffee on you. But now I understand that some encounters aren't beautiful, they're inevitable. And they're right." Liam took her hand. "Em, you turned my world upside down. You made me question everything. And you taught me how to truly live. You are chaos and peace at the same time. And it's with you that I want to live every version of myself from now until the end of my days." The two looked at each other for a long moment. So said the officiant, before all these witnesses, and with the blessing of ducks and overdue spreadsheets, I ask Emma Thompson, do you take Liam Carter as your partner in life, in mistakes and in adventures? "I do." "Liam Carter, do you take Emma Thompson as your soulmate, your partner in bad coffee and spontaneous dancing?" "With all my heart." "Then let there be a kiss and a celebration." The guests applauded, laughed, and got emotional. The kiss was light, lingering with the scent of lavender and the taste of a promise fulfilled. On their way out, each guest picked up their little duck and headed to the reception, which featured pizza, milkshakes, board games, and even a karaoke setup under a canopy. Emma took the mic and sang "Ain't No Mountain High Enough," off-key on purpose, and with a joy no rehearsal in the world could prepare for. Liam recorded the whole thing and posted it with the caption, "CEO marries the most genuine woman he's ever met, and she sings like, the world can't hear a thing. But now everything makes sense." Later that evening, as the sun went down, the two of them sat alone on a wooden bench in the back of the property. Strings of lights hung between the trees. The breeze was soft and the day was gently saying goodbye. Emma rested her head on his shoulder. "We did it." Liam held her hand. "And this is just the beginning." She smiled. "Then promise me we'll live like every day is a chapter worth telling." "I promise." With mistakes, with all of them, and with love always. They embraced as the sky slowly faded into night.